morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Crystal Clear Show. I'm your host, Crystal, and it is my honor to welcome Sheila Jones into our Crystal Clear Show. She is the founder and CEO of Wicked Results. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show today. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you with us today. Let us hear something about you. We would like to get to know you a little bit more, Sheila. Wicked Results, that's a very interesting name. What exactly do you do in Wicked Results?
So I founded the company a few years ago with the intention of doing really two things. That's helping businesses be successful and double their profits, and helping individuals, the single individual who's striving for more success in their career or in their personal life. So I joined together the tagline of results for business and results for people. And so I've been journeying through this adventure for the past couple of years, coming from the foundation of the industry of consumer products, goods, and the food service side, as well as the leadership side.
Oh, that's amazing. Not only you help the businesses, but you help also the employees of the businesses by doubling their profits and also doubling the what's it called, the skills, the strategic skills of their employees. Is that correct, Sheila?
Yes. Yeah. My experience has been in the industry that, it's hard for a business to be extremely successful if the talent within the organization is not strong. They're not with a continual growth mindset. So by
Mm-hmm.
being able to strategize on where a company wants to go, like laying that out on a long-term plan and saying, okay, we want to be, 2 million up next year. We want to be 5 million up in 3 years, whatever that looks like. You need to build the pillars of the business between the people, the processes, and the products for the business to continue to grow and be successful. So I'm able to help people from the business side, really be able to strategize with them, being able to look at the products that they sell, how they're selling them, who they're selling to them, what's their profit margins. And also I'm able to look at the talent that's in their organization. And that talent can sometimes be just developing very strong development plans for the talent, or it can be a transformational process where in order for the organization to grow, that the talent needs to improve or change, or you need new types of skill sets to join the organization to drive it forward.
Wow, that's so interesting. It's true that not only we need the clients, but we need the process, and we need to see the products. Is it still what the people want to buy? Because everything is now evolving, and the needs are also evolving, and the wants, most especially, I think it's more the wants now that are more important, not what exactly what we need. So actually, Sheila, but now that you're talking about your business, I want to ask you first, what is your superpower? If you were a superhero, who would it be and why? Because you have talked about how you help other companies double their or even triple their benefits, their margins. But if you are a superhero, who would it be and why?
So I thought about that, and in the split second here, and I'm like, my superpower is really my positivity. I am
Oh,
a person that's very, very positive. I've always been positive, and I come at it from the seat of we'll figure it out.
oh,
Either, if we're trying to get somewhere, sometimes that road is not paved. You don't know what you're going to need to know. You don't know exactly what you're going to need. So if we can always start with the spirit of we're trying to get to a destination, and then the spirit of let's be positive and let's try to figure it out, then I think it loosens up the stress around trying to grow and develop, and it just seats us in the spot of let's be positive Let's identify what obstacles we have and how we go forward. So if I was here making a costume today and I would be like, okay, what's this costume need to look like for a superpower person, that's very, very positive. I'm thinking
Right.
like fireworks and it's like got gas jets on it. And it's like, let's go. And it would like wrong, take off. And there would be a lot of energy and it would probably be dropping candy out of it because I like candy. So I think that I think when people eat a little candy, they tend to be a little more fun and loosened up around things.
Right.
So I think it would be a costume with a bunch of engines and firecrackers that would be dropping out candy.
Oh, I love imagining that already. I would like to be behind you picking up the candies.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
That is absolutely fun. So who would it be? What would you be called then?
What would I be called if I was a superhero? Hmm.
Yes.
I'm thinking like it has to be something like super positive, like super positive. Oh man, now you're going to put me on the spot here, like a super positive. Oh, let me think if I can come up with something real quick here.
No,
I
we
don't want
can
to
imagine.
say super positive Patty, but it have to be something that's like that, right? Like
Right.
Captain America, but it would be like super positive Patty or something like that, and it would just be this like crazy, crazy looking
Right.
thing that's full of like a lot of fun and shifts
Yes.
the stress from trying to be serious to trying to be fun. Because in the world of it, you gotta loosen up and you gotta figure it out. Otherwise, I think you get a little jammed up in your head about trying to get things done.
Well, Sri says she's all for the candy, so she will be following you also for the candy. Yes.
That's awesome.
So okay, Super Patty, we always share the quote here, and the quote that you shared me is by what's his name again?
Zig Ziglar.
Zig
Yeah.
Ziglar. Yes. Can you tell me what quote did you choose and why?
So first off, I am a very goal-oriented person, right? Like on any given day, I try to eat like 3 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables. Like that's my goal. And the reason I am very goal-oriented is I I I like to pinpoint what I'm trying to do, right? Like if I know what I'm trying to do, then I can largely be successful in that, right? And so
Right.
um, I have this quote, and I don't want to read it wrong because sometimes I actually truncate it. So let me actually read it to you. It says,
Right.
when you get what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. And that is Zig Ziglar. And I like that because on the way to your goal, you are sort of one person, right? But then who do you become when you've achieved your goal is actually a little bit different than while you're in the process of trying to achieve your goal. So like I look at it like let's say you're a marathon runner and you're in training, 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 and you're like always really like focused on the bike riding or the running, etc. But once you've achieved the goal of running your first marathon, it's like an accomplishment. And no matter what, you sort of reset yourself on what that looks like. You are now a marathon runner. You are not a person in training to be a marathon. You've already done it, right? And I'll
Right.
go back. I think I'd share with you before that I'm a children's book author.
Yes.
And in the process of seeking that goal, I was many things in the process of creating that book. I was a writer, I was a character developer, I was a storyline monitor. I was looking at all this different stuff as I was going forward. But
Mhm.
who I became after I accomplished the goal of publishing Amir's Big Catch was now I had this incredible book and I went out to schools and I started reading to kids and inspiring them to have fun and to read. And I became a Read Aloud sponsor and I ended up giving away a lot of books. So the goal was to become a children's book author. But once I achieved that goal, I became something very different, which was now an advocate for reading and literacy in the school systems. So, yeah, you become a little bit different.
Exactly. Wow, that's so amazing. And Sri says you can be super wicked Sheila. That's the superhero name.
That'd be awesome.
Yes,
I think that's a good one right there. Super
it
Wicked
is.
Sheila. Boom!
So, yes, with all the
Super kick
rockets
ass
and the
again.
candy. Yes, that's a really good one. Yes, that's true. It's who you become actually when you achieve your goal is the more is important thing.
Yeah.
It's not really as important when or before. It's really on the process. Also, you discover who you are. You discover your gifts, your talents,
Yes.
and because like what you said earlier, um, by being an author in the beginning, you just wanted to write this book, but during this journey, when you go to different schools and read, you it's a different feeling, and you become different a different person as well. And I think that's what makes it more wonderful in this journey. It's the journey that really counts, and not exactly the destination, isn't it, Sheila?
Yeah. And I can tell you that especially around the book, once I went into the schools as like a an author and reading this book to the kids, I then had a different view of how kids learn, how they're entertained, how they can how their attention is caught, how their attention is maintained. And I was never looking at that stuff when I was trying to write the book. I was looking at the design of the pages and the characters and all of that. But once I got like over the hump, if you will, into a different space, I became very different. And ultimately, just a couple of weeks ago, I received my second certification for some classroom management content. And I'm actually going to be going in the school systems to do a few more things. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, it's so amazing. I have written a book also, but we were 19 authors. But now I'm also planning to write my own. And well, Sri says it's the process that teaches us how we are more than what we think we are. It's so true, isn't it?
I agree 100%. Yep, absolutely.
Well, let me ask you, what is your biggest why? Why are you doing the things that you are doing now? Why did you write a book? Why are you a coach right now? What is exactly your biggest why?
So it's interesting because I had a successful career in the food and consumer products goods industry. And I there was this moment in time when I was like, how big is the world? Like, how big is it? And I'm over here in this particular world and I'm doing this. And, I was receiving a very, very good compensation and,
Right.
life was very comfortable. And I just felt like when I looked out to the world, there's so many ways to inspire people, to motivate people, and to help them grow and be successful. I felt like I had a higher calling to move from this level of comfort into this level of going out and inspiring others to do things that they didn't think they could do. And when I tell people that my career started, I was a young kid in the restaurant business, and then I ended up, working for Nestle's, Campbell Soup, and corporate Walmart in Bentonville, and then, off into all these different places. I When I say that to people, they just kind of look at me like, wow. And I don't realize, or I didn't realize, that people don't continue to move forward. Sometimes they just get to a place, they
Right.
stay in that place, and their life becomes very comfortable. So
Yeah.
a couple years ago, I like totally disrupted my life. Like I totally was like, all right, I've been in corporate America for a long time and I know what I want to do. I want to inspire people to be something that they never thought that they could be. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's this moment where I'm like, I can contribute more to this world. And if I can help one person or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 achieve an impossible goal that they never thought that they could do, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sign up for this bigger thing than what I thought I was going to be able to do. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this is I'm the kind of person that sort of keeps going, and I get to a certain point and then I look out into the broader world and I'm like, wow, I never saw this before. So let me look at this differently. And how can I use the bigger view of the world to increase the goals for myself? Right? Like, how can I use that space to increase my own personal goals? And so sometimes the people that I coach, sometimes I'm learning from them. I'm like, oh, wow, like this is this moment where maybe it's a back and forth a little bit. And I'm like, I inspire them, but ultimately, the people that I talk to and I help and I coach, they inspire me. They inspire me to learn more, to be better as a coach, to strive and to diversify my skill sets as a coach. So it's like really, it's really interesting when you think about what you can actually deliver to the world.
It's wow, it's so good that how you explain that. It's I was just listening earlier to Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey. It's like going up. They were using an example of, for example, a fly who was trying to get out of a room where the window is just 10 steps away, but he's really bumping his head against this window, and he can die in a matter of minutes because he will tire himself. But if you go away and look at the vantage point and exactly what you explained, and you will see, oh, actually there's an open door, an open window for me to exit, and for you, you see that as that vantage point to see, okay, how can I help the world? How else can I elevate myself so I can better myself and I will be able to inspire them? And that's actually how my husband and I started our company. We were both employees, and at the same time, it was just after the financial crisis in 2008 2009. I was laid off, but at that time we had two kids, two small babies, a 1 year old and a 2 year old, and we said, okay, we need to look at it as a blessing because I was laid off. The company where I used to work had to go away to a cheaper country where everything they they have to pay is half of what they pay here in Belgium. And it's actually very helpful when you said you need to look away and look at the world in the bigger view. How can you inspire them? How can you use your talents? How can you
Yep.
get yourself better? I just love that.
Yep. That's good.
So,
And congratulations to you guys as well. You guys have done an amazing job,
yeah.
taking an opportunity and cultivating into something that's significant. So congratulations to you all as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Sheila. We are so happy and so grateful. But I think I'm going to take your advice. Now that we have 150 people working for us, we have a very comfortable life. And sometimes we say, okay, maybe we just stop growing because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of problems at the same time, and we are comfortable now. Maybe it's we can do that, but actually no. Now I'm motivated to get out again and see how can we serve more, how can we help more. Maybe we can help 150 other employees more, because if you know Filipinos, we're not only helping 150 employees, but we're also helping their families and
Yes.
their families,
Yes.
because the Filipinos help not only their immediate families but their parents, their grandparents, their nieces, aunts, uncles. So it's really a lot, and now we are so grateful, we are so blessed. But maybe we can take a step back again and finally check, what can we do more, how can we help others more.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. when did you start your journey? So you mentioned you started as a cook and this, but when did you realize that you wanted to be a coach?
That's a great question. So I would say that I'll kind of explain it like this. When I was in the restaurant business, you have the restaurant business is very interesting because sometimes you can work for a chef that is inspiring and motivating based on the foods that they make, and sometimes you can work with chefs that are they're very they keep their recipes close to their heart, right?
Yeah,
And I
right.
happened to work for a restaurant called Northwoods in West Annapolis, and our chef was a very, very good chef, and he the foods that he made were very, very inspiring, and so they were different than the stuff that was in other restaurants in Annapolis, and I got an opportunity to work there, and I had been a chef for a while, but this was a really great restaurant. It was like a step up in the food and the service and the wine menus, etc. And I started to work there, and that unlocked this continual growth mindset for me from a culinary perspective, very different culinary skill sets. So I started to
Mhm.
go to the bookstore and read like every cookbook I could get a hold of, right? So here I am, you know, seeding myself for this continual culinary growth. Then I would come back to the restaurant and I would utilize what I learned from these books and I would start to develop these products. So our menu changed, our profitability changed, our customers were really thrilled with the products we were making. And that was like the moment in time where I was skilling myself and then had a chance to skill others in that restaurant. So I started to help younger cooks develop better skill sets and culinary skill sets. But when it really started to get the momentum behind it was when I was working at Campbell Soup. So, my restaurant had five culinary people, but when I went to work at Campbell's, there was hundreds of people that you could work with and interact with. So I
Right.
started this program of helping to mentor people that were a couple of levels below me in their job space. So, like for example, we had technicians who used to work and support the food scientists. So I would go into work on Saturdays and I would teach these technicians the math that was required for our industry, right? So that was
Right.
like this moment where I went from the restaurant business style of mentoring and helping and coaching to going into the consumer products goods area, seeing a gap in the skill set, and then start this mentoring process. So that was back in probably about 2002, where I really started to grab a hold of this. So it's been about 20 plus years that I've been involved in this. And when I step back and look at what the impact has been, I was on a veterans board, and every month, every 6 weeks, I used to talk to veterans about jobs. And in total, I've probably spoken to about 18,000 people about their jobs. So it's this coaching, it's explaining, it's educating. And in this process connected to the vets, it's been one style of coaching. It's a
Right.
transitional coach, right? Like you're in the military, you're trying to transition into corporate America. But when I've
Right.
been in consumer products good spaces and coaching people, it might be these types of things. How do you develop your skill set within the job function that you have so that you are excellent? Then, once you know your job and can do your job really, really well, what skill sets do you want to add on so that you can develop yourself and look for opportunity from a larger space? So, what do I mean by when I'm saying that? Let's say that you're at a entry level manager position, and the journey is endless in the company that you're at. So the first thing I would say is, what kind of decisions are you making? How can I help you get stronger decision making? What is the type of communication skills that you need in order to advance to the next position? What is the level of maybe financial skill sets that you need, or what's the judgment processes that you're using to make your day-to-day work? But when you go to the next level, what is it that you're going to need in order for that to happen, right? So
Right.
know your job and do your job really, really well. Then grow your skill sets in every way, shape, and form. And don't be afraid to step out of that box to grow those skill sets. Once you've grown those skill sets, now move on to another job, right? And I say it's important for people to move because there needs to be an opportunity for another person to come behind you and sit in the seat that you are evacuating. And those people need those chances to grow. If you don't ever grow yourself, you don't ever move. And if you stay in that spot, it's like a log jam of growth opportunity within the whole organization. So it's really important for people to do it. And I would say that looking back now, it's been since about 2002. So it's been more than 20 years I've been involved in this. So I haven't done the math lately, but now you like, wow, when was that? And I'm like thinking, man, that was a long time ago now, right? Like it's awesome.
But time flies by when you really, when you help people and when you use your skills. And but I love what you said. People need chances to move, because here in Belgium, I used to work as a hotel receptionist,
Yeah,
and I worked in a five-star hotel. But the funny thing is, the people I used to work with started when they were 17, and they retired in the same post. So
right,
if they started as a bagagiste or a receptionist, they would retire as a receptionist.
right, right.
And and that's really a pity, because they could have, like what you said, given the chances to the others to start where they are, and they could also move upwards into the ladder, and have given the chances to the young ones who are starting. I really love that when you said you need to grow your skill sets, because definitely everybody, all of us needs to grow well, and see, okay, what do I have now, what do I need to grow myself. It's not only for us, but it's how we can help others, to give value to others.
Yes.
And most definitely, because everybody's looking at us, we are someone's hero, as we can say. Because I always ask this question: if you are a hero, who would it be and why? Because most of the time we think of ourselves as nobody, like I'm just Crystal. And but people look up to us whether we like it or not, and people just say, I want to be like her, I want to be like you when I grow up.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
it is true. One time I was in a conference in at church, and I was just taking care of my kids, m- being a mom. So I had the three of them all beside me, one in each side, and then the smallest one on my lap, because my husband was talking in front. And little did I know, somebody behind me was looking at me and admiring how I was taking care of the kids. And at the end of that conference, she said, I want to be like you when I grow up, when I have my own kids. And I'm like, I was just being a mom. But for us, it tends to be simple, because we know, and it's natural to us, if I
Right,
may say.
right.
But to other people, it's not, because probably they didn't have their moms growing up, or as a business owner, as a coach, maybe they didn't have anybody to look up to, who owns, or probably like nobody in their family finished college or something. So they have this mentality. So I would like to ask you another question. Would you say that you are already successful in work and in life, with all the things that you have gone through, from being in the kitchen, being in Campbell's, and you mentioned you also worked in different other companies? It's been 20 years of journey coaching other people in different companies. I have seen in your profile. Do you think that you are already successful or in your work and in life, Sheila?
That's a really interesting question because I think that I think that success is defined differently for everyone, right? And
Right.
as I started to exit out of corporate America and start my own company, I I said to myself, and this is kind of a really tough question, right? It's like, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy with what I've accomplished? Right? Like
Right.
if tomorrow was my last day on the face of the earth, would I be happy? And the answer was no.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I don't incredibly appreciate where I was and the success that I've had. That's not it. I am
Mm-hmm.
extremely appreciative for that. There's people that helped me, they coached me, they mentored me, they kicked me in the shins when I needed to be kicked in the shins. You know what I mean? Like I I sent myself to college, and I paid all my own bills and supported myself while I was doing that.
Right.
And when I graduated from college, I thought that was like going to be one of my biggest accomplishments, right? Like that was going to
Right.
be the biggest thing. I would go into this food career and then I would achieve some level of success. But when I asked myself that question, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy? And the answer is I'm not. And
Mm-hmm.
why am I not? It goes back to a question earlier that you asked. I want to inspire as many people as I possibly can to reach down into themselves and decide what they want to achieve, and then
Right.
be a part of that discovery, that momentum, those little accomplishments that add up to the big accomplishments. And when I look at the bigger opportunity of the world, if I didn't leave my company,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have impacted the people that I've impacted over the past few years. I
Right.
just wouldn't have done it, right? I wouldn't have done it. But
Yes.
those people have gone on to open businesses. They've gone on to get multiple promotions, and in some instances, life-changing income. So when I see that that can be the impact, right? Like you can inspire people to achieve something. For me, I look at the world as being extremely big, and if I
Mm-hmm.
keep going, right, sooner or later, I'm gonna accumulate enough of these moments with people, with individuals, and with companies that
Yeah.
I will. I don't know if I will ever stop. I don't feel that I'm the kind of person that says this is this is it for me. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm the kind of person that says I'm here, and
Right.
then once I get here, it's like, oh, what's over here now? And then I want to keep going, right? So
Right.
I just recently, and I think you're aware of this, I just recently finished a TEDx event in York
Yeah.
Beach, Maine. And it was an amazing event. The people were fantastic to work with, the speakers were amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, I was like, wow, if I could do this here, how can I take this and make it bigger and make it available for others so that they can possibly achieve a bigger goal themselves? So if I keep moving in this space, the answer is I appreciate all the success that I've had, but every success I have makes me look at the world a little bit bigger and what's the
Right.
impact that I can make for other people as well.
Wow. It's actually at the end of the day, it's how you lived your life
Yeah.
that matters. And how did you impact the world? I was listening another audio earlier, and it said that, well, the world is big, but compared to the universe, it's still so tiny. It's just a
Yeah.
tiny fleck in the universe. So there's the supernova and stuff, and the Milky Way. So what's what can you give? What can you give the world? And how can you make a difference? It's that all that matters. It's really the purpose of living is actually not earning or
Right.
millions and millions of money, because I know I we have been earning millions for the last let's say for the last 5 years we have been constantly earning millions, but it's not that makes us happy. It's the
Right.
relationship that we have, and the people that we help, and bridging the gap. It's actually, I liked how you mentioned it earlier. That's seeing the gap and being able to bridge the gap. That gap makes us also very happy, as we help others.
I think,
So
it's when I'm trying to explain to people goals for themselves or opportunity to grow, I use this diagram. It's a very simple diagram. It's like you're in the middle, like you're in the middle, and using it in the context of work. I might say, here's you, here's your team, here's your department, right?
right,
Here's our company, here's the business segment that our company lives in, right? And
right,
and it just exponentially gets bigger. And as I'm helping people go from you to bigger, I might say, what do you want to contribute to your industry during your career? What do you want to contribute? Because you can contribute anything. You can contribute anything. But sometimes people are like, I cannot contribute anything to my industry. And I'm like, well, why would you say that? Right? Why would you
mhm,
say that? And they're like, oh, and they assume that there's somebody bigger, better, and smarter out there that's making the contribution. And I'm like, no, no, that's not it. It's actually us that are making the
mhm.
contribution. It's you, it's me, and our continued growth and development that ultimately allows us to impact an industry or impact a town or a state or a country. It's us. You look out there, there's only it's only us, right? It's only us human beings out here. Well, maybe a few aliens. I'm not sure about that, but
Maybe.
you know, it's just us on the two legs. It's just us.
Yeah,
I think it's just as how big can you dream, right? Like how big
yeah,
can you dream? And I think people get locked up in their minds because they go to the big dream and then they say, I can't accomplish it. But I'm saying, who are you? And then who are you to your team? So you can embrace the opportunity within the team, then the division, then the company, then the industry. And I think it helps people understand the success and the sequential growth that has to happen for a person to be able to contribute on a very, very large platform.
oh wow, it's true. It's definitely, we can all make a difference in the world
Right.
when we elevate ourselves, when we think positively. Because I in this conversation, I can see how positive you are, because the way you inspire me in our conversation, it's just amazing. You are a very inspiring person. and and well, knowing how big your dream, because most of the time we don't think, we think so many things, but we think negative thoughts. And the dreams that we have, sometimes when we attain the dream, we stop dreaming.
Right.
And it's actually not impossible to dream big or to want more. I think it's also the concept of money is the root of all evil, that makes people don't want to step forward, to step more higher into the ladder, because they're afraid that they will earn so much money that they will be not good people anymore. And I know in my family there are people who think like that. So they say, I'm good. I am living a very good life now. I'm not going to grow anymore because money is the root of all evil. But actually, it's not. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. So if you use that money to help others, and if you use your talents and abilities to help others, then you're not evil at all, isn't it?
My my bigger my bigger goals, right? Like my bigger goals is one of my friends lost their daughter in 2010, and she was a very good little buddy, and she was my buddy, and her name was Amanda Hustle. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do as I continue moving forward is to make an amazing impact on Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. And
Yeah.
I'm working with them now in the starter phase of trying to understand how I can actually help them. And exactly what you said about money. Um, Sometimes money can be evil, it can be used for evil things, and sometimes it can be used for good things. And as I look at my desire and the bigger picture of what I would like to do at just a children's hospital is I'm inspired to make more money, not to buy more things for myself. I have everything I want. I don't need anything. Like I have a house and I have food on the table and that's good enough for me. But if
Right.
I could help those kids that are in that hospital enjoy a break from their medical challenges, that would be amazing, right? And then I think to myself, oh, if I could do it for one day, right?
Mhm.
One child, one thing, one day, right? One child, one thing, one day. Then it would be like, okay, that's the beginning. But if
Right.
the next day is how many children, how many
Mhm.
times, how many days? And then
Right.
the question is, could it be forever?
Mm.
And if you ask yourself those questions, you are then going from this is $100 worth of money that's required, and this is millions of dollars, right?
Right.
So, how do I get from point A to point B, right? It's about maybe sometimes it's not even about just you, it's about you finding other people who think or feel or experienced the same thing that you've experienced. And therefore, you have a camaraderie, a connection, and you can use that to help fund your types of dreams. Um,
Right.
in one of the John Maxwell books that I teach from, Put Your Dreams to the Test, it says like, who do you need to be around in order to accomplish your goals? And if I was standing back a couple years ago and I was like, oh, I'd like to fund a project with Children's Hospital, and someone says to me, well, that's $20 million, or it's $40 million, or whatever, I would go like, oh my God, that's impossible. I'm never going to be able to do that. But if I just
Mhm.
start with the one thing and I sequentially put the steps in place to accomplish the bigger goal, then I have a really good chance. And if I'm in a space and a time, then who knows what I can accomplish, right? So
Yes.
just starting with the one thing and then getting that momentum going allows, I think, for the goals to be realized, right? That would be
Right.
it would be amazing, right? It would be really amazing.
Oh, now you make me dream because I've always wanted to own a hotel and restaurant and by the beach.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was a child, when we used to go to a hotel and a restaurant near the beach, it's so relaxing, and we don't feel the pressures of the world. We don't need to think about the assignments and the house chores. But actually, you've given me an idea. Why not also bring one child or more, multiple children, to experience what I experienced?
Right, right.
Because in the beginning, I wanted to have that because I wanted to give um, employment to other people so that they can sustain their needs. But this one is really big. So it's not only purely personal, but there's something into it, being able to help or other kids experience. Or one time we went to a children's clinic, but the children there are really the ones who needs a lot of care. Some are in a wheelchair, some are um, really in a situation whom they cannot really take care of themselves, and the parents will leave them there either for a week or even just a day so that they can have their own personal time, because it's been uh, a difficult journey for them. So I was thinking, while you were talking, I was thinking, oh, probably it could be also some kind of clinic for children like that, so that parents can relax, or they can go all together, the family, and they can relax. But at the same time, nurses and doctors can take care of the kids while the parents are in the beach or
Yeah,
relaxing. So, oh, I have so many ideas already in mind, and now it's working because it's there's just this sometimes some a period of time where like, okay, what in the put your dreams to the test. It said John Maxwell said, "Is your dream really your dream?"
Right. Right.
And I'm thinking, is it really my dream to become a coach? Because I love teaching, and where did this seed come from? And I remember while really reflecting upon it, upon this question, I remember when I was young, I was about 13 years old, when I was invited to give a talk to young teens like me. And I said, I really felt good. I want to inspire more of them, and I want to help them and grow more. And but then when we came to Belgium, it erased and I forgot about it. And then and then now it's like, oh, actually, it's at that time because my husband is also a speaker and a motivator, and I thought I just wanted to copy what he's doing because he is inspiring people and I want to be like him. But actually, I had that deep desire already to help others even
Right.
before I met him.
Wow.
So it's really knowing, is your dream really yours, and why do
Exactly.
you dream this? And like what you said, surround yourself with the like-minded people. Because I was in earlier another story earlier in the parent teacher meeting, and this parents, I asked her, how are you doing, everything good? And then they started talking about all their problems of their renovation. I was like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have asked them how you're doing. Because they just, there are just people who take the joy out of you, and we don't need more of them. Just surround yourself with like-minded people, with the people who can teach you, with coaches and mentors, and it's just an amazing community that you will be, because life is not all negative. Life
Exactly.
is so beautiful, and you can help others through your gifts and talents as well. We are going coming into the end of our
Right.
show. Sheila, I really thank you for being
Absolutely.
here. But before we go, I'm going to ask you the last two questions actually.
Okay.
Well, first, what are the best practices that you can share and our viewers will say will can implement immediately on daily basis?
It seems like such a big question, right? Like what can I do every day? And I just look at it very simply. And I need good sleep, right? People need good sleep to have energy to be creative, right? To be creative, you need to have the energy. So when I say just basically the basics, like tackle the basics first. Get good
Mm-hmm.
sleep, get a good diet, drink a lot of water, get a lot of exercise, go outside, enjoy nature, enjoy some sun, and enjoy some laughs. I mean, we've been laughing on this show today, right? It's like
Yeah,
when you start laughing, you feel better, you feel different, some days if I have a bad day, I'm like, oh, I got to turn this switch quick, right? I'll
right,
just put on some music that is the kind of music that inspires me or the kind of music that makes me loosen up a little bit. So it doesn't have to be these amazing things. Just get the fundamentals down first, right?
right,
Get your sleep straight, your diet straight, how much you hydrate, what are you doing for laughing, and how are you getting, your exercise and your sunshine. And if you do that every single day, you are going to feel a lot better, especially if you've got a bad day and you turn on some good music, right?
yeah,
All of a sudden you're going to be like, all this going on, right? And all of a sudden it's going to be like,
right,
oh, what was my problem? And you're going to be like, oh, that's a long time ago, right? So just get the basics under control first, right?
right. So sleep well. Most of the time we forget. that the basic are the most important. The, we tend to skip breakfast
Yeah.
or skip dinner or just take whatever there is, and actually it's what you put into your body affects also your mood, and that's really important, especially sleeping. I love having my 8 hours of sleep, and I get cranky as well when my kids wake me up when it's not 8 hours yet, and and it's so, yes, it's really true. So lastly, Sheila, can you give one last crystal clear gem that you can, if for example they, people who are not able to join but they will be able to join just now, what would be your last crystal clear gem to impart to them?
I think the biggest thing that I try to help people do or to think about is I have a circle of friends and they are amazing friends. They've been my friends for decades. We've gone through a lot of different things together. But I have a very strong desire to meet new people, right? And why am I wanting to do that? Everyone I meet, they've had a different career path than I've had. They've had a different life experience. Maybe they came from a different country, maybe they live in a different country. So if you were to walk away with one thing today,
Right.
is open up the world of meeting people. When you meet a person, you're going to learn something from them.
Yes.
They're going to learn something from you. They may inspire you. They may trigger an action in you or a step to go forward. And sometimes when you think like, man, it has to be really big things. It really does not, right? My neighbor lives next door to me. She's a single mom. She has two kids. And when the kids are outside, I try to talk to the kids, right? And I try to talk to them and laugh and I got candy and
Yeah.
different things along those lines. But when I talk to them, it reminds me to be lighthearted. It
Mhm.
reminds me to laugh. It reminds me to have fun.
Right.
And if I'm inspired by a 6-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if you go out and you meet some other people that do things differently or think differently than you, it's going to open up this ability for you to solve a lot of problems because you're going to have resources available to you. You can bounce things off of other people. You're going to hear what they've struggled with and know that your struggle is similar. If it's not
Yeah.
exactly the same, it's going to be similar, right? The challenge of that.
Right.
So if I was to say one thing, I know some people are introverted and they don't feel really comfortable networking with people,
Yeah.
especially just going boldly up to somebody and saying hi. Um, reach out to me. I'll help you get that worked out because I have met so many amazing people and look at how we met each other, right? Like we met
Right.
each other and we'll be friends forever, right? We're going to be friends
Yes.
forever here, right? And so
Yes.
if I hadn't have taken a step, if you hadn't have taken a step, then
Yes.
we would have never met. And that's
Indeed.
the beauty of this is being able to meet people and learn from people as you proceed through your life.
That's so beautiful. Indeed, indeed, open up your world because the world is so big, like what we said earlier, and it's just a beautiful world if we just open up and step up and use our talents, share our talents.
Yep.
There's one last question here from our viewers. The real question is, do you still cook?
I do. Yes, I do. I love to
Yay.
cook. I love to cook. I will never stop cooking. As a matter of fact, today's Friday. Tomorrow morning, I'm going down to Maryland to spend the weekend with my cousins. And
Mhm.
it's a joke because when I go to their house, I make food all the time. So
Oh,
on Tuesday, she texted me and she said, are you still planning on cooking dinner on Saturday? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And she said, what do you think you're going to make? And I said to her, how many pots do you want me to use? Right? Like, is it a 2-pot meal, a 6-pot meal, or an 8-pot meal? Right. So sometimes when I go to her house, I'll start cooking in the morning and it'll be
yeah.
all day long that I'm like, making some kind of piece of beef or something. And I've got pots and pans all over the place. And we laugh about it because I'm always like, This was a 6-pot dinner. Yeah.
Yay.
Really good.
Oh, I would love to taste that 6-pot dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you can come here in Belgium.
Oh,
I'll have Belgian beers and Belgian chocolates ready for you, and
cool.
I'm ready to eat anything that you cook.
I love chocolate, so that's a winner for me. That's awesome.
Okay, so awesome. I so love talking with you, Sheila. So many golden nuggets that you shared during this hour. And thank you so much. Is there
Absolutely.
anything, how would they be able to contact you through your website? We can.
Yeah. I have a contact space in Wicked Results, and they can just reach out via www.wickedresults.com. Remember, it's spelled with an H. I wanted to be a little bit different than the typical spelling, and I'm available on LinkedIn as well. Those are probably the two main ways that people interact with me or react to getting access to me, right? So that's the ways.
So www.wickedresults.com to hear from Sheila. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Crystal Clear Show. Where you are doesn't matter. Where you are going does. So remember to get crystal clear wherever you go. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Have a good day, okay?